Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar on, I would say, new normal in procurement. If we talk of new normal, the word came into the language, I would say, during 2008 when I was based in the US. That's the time when we were going through the global recession, the financial recession around. That's the time this word came up around. And from their time, we are hearing all the time new normal, next normal. Before that, there was never a word like a new, it was always a normal. But the concept came in 2008, new normal. That was the first crisis, I would say, big crisis around. And now we have another crisis because of the COVID 19. So, new normal, next normal, I'll try to clarify. The two terms are different. New normal relates to the today's, more or less present. Next means if I talk of next in COVID context, it is linked with vaccine. When vaccine is available to all, the modality may change here and there. So this is where we call the new normal. So my focus will be majority on the new normal, but I will touch on the next also to some extent. So when we talk of the concept of new normal, basically, as you can see in the heading, we're trying to redefine the strategies to manage the disruption. Disruption is there. And this disruption, don't think this is the end of it. Maybe in the years to come, decade to come, others may come around, as the history speaks about. So disruptions are there. Then how do we redefine the strategy? The old approaches, old processes, all will change. I can tell you from my personal experience, when we were having in 2008 in the US, when the recession was there, nobody talked about this category management. Nobody talked about, I would say e-commerce was also in the beginning, I would call around. Nobody talked about strategic sourcing around. SRM word came in the later stage. So all those new tools came around and they became the must now. And I'm also seeing that today what we are seeing through, new approaches will come, new methodology will come. So that's what I'm going to touch on. So it's basically redefining the procurement strategy under disruption. The, the my paper, the presentation, if I talk about the concept of the new normal, it is based on the trends. Whatever you have guys have seen is basically it covers the trends on observation. We all have made the observation. So before we started, like Mayank was talking about work from home, it has changed the style of us. How do we deal with the peers? How do we structure our organizations? So that means the methodology has changed, approach has changed. We cannot stick with the old process and then work in a different. Or keep in mind, work from home is becoming a must now in years to come. I know many companies comes and call us, Krishan, we have a problem with social distance. We have a warehouse. I've got 100 people working with me. I've got a big warehouse. What do I do? If I keep social distance, I can't keep 100 people. So the job profile has changed. That means that companies are moving into more of robotics approach. So the philosophy is changing. I would say the job nature of all of us are changing. That's the way I would call it around. Now, to cope with these challenges, if I look around procurement department when this all problem, when the company started around, initially, what did we do? We switched to crisis management mode. Guys, funds were short with many companies around. So we moved into the crisis management to alleviate these, whatever you call the disruption part. But the key lesson, the way I can see from my personal experience, which has learned all over the world, I get the same feedback, is to build the resilience part. In the past, we never cared. We said, okay, let the risk come, we will manage it. Then we always used to say, what if risk comes? Oh, we have a choice here, we have a choice here. Now we don't think that way around. I think the business continuity, the resilience is becoming a must now. I think each company will have to have one department which will manage the resilience part. If I'm working in your company and head of the resilience, I would say, guys, I will try to analyze all your suppliers. From where do they buy? Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Then I'll see around if this supplier is only one. If tomorrow this supplier ditches me, do I have a backup or not? Can I ensure my continuity of supply or not? So the approaches are going to change around. So resilience is the first thing I would call. Agility is the next one. I come from that timings when people used to talk about the lean procurements. Lean word is still there. I'm not saying that. Just in time around. Now say, guys, just in time is good. But if I'm not able to deliver, What do I do with just in time? I lose my customer. I'm keeping inventory of 1 hour. I'm keeping inventory of 2 hours. And then I find suddenly my demand has changed. Either has gone up or gone down. So that means you need agility is more important. So lean is still relevant. I'm not saying it is gone, but the focus today it is more on responsiveness. Like a tiger, we should be able to respond quickly. And the third, which is not coming in a very big way, is sustainability part. We all have seen during the lockdown time initially, we used to be very happy. Oh, the air is lovely, no pollutions, nice, everything around. So people are now worried about the environment part also. So sustainability is equally important. So the three lessons I would like to talk about in my presentation: resilience. Resilience is more than the risk management. It's much more deeper. Agility part, sustainability part. Sustainability, I know it is still not picked up much, I would say. Not much talks are going around. But I think the time has come for us, country like ours, where we have too much of pollution, no much of health issues around. Procurement also has to think in a green procurement. If anything, I can bring innovative product with a greenness, I think it is going to have much better impact around. So in short, if I talk about these three parameters, what we need, urgent need to transform the procurement around. So we have to transform it. If we want to be very competitive and we want to be a part of the global supply hub, because so far, literally, if we look around, we did good thing on the IT side, but on the supply side, it was all within the country. We never became the supply hub. And now I think we're taking the benefit of it to become the supply hub. And if we want to be the part of the global supply hub, we will have to transform procurement, because procurement is a major component of the supply chain. So there is no cut and paste solution. Many people think, okay, I need a transformation, go down to one big company and they'll come and give me a consultancy part. Consultancy cannot be a cut and paste solution. Even if we are in the same sector, both of us, but your solutions are different, my solution would be different because my team is different, my culture is different. So I think we cannot go with a cut and paste solution as we did in the past around. Somebody wants to implement ERP, they'll get someone, come and implement ERP. They'll customize it, whatever they want it around. Now the customization has to match with the people. It has to be led by you people around. If I look back to the crisis of 2008 again, procurement became a very important function. See, procurement, people normally think as a support function. Always, they ignore it. While procurement is controlling the purse of the company, and nowadays is controlling 60 to 70%, if I talk about the spend of any company through procurement. If I'm the CEO of a company, 70% is spent by procurement, my savings will not come by cutting the salary of X and Y. My growth will come through procurement. Procurement can get me the innovative products around. So I think whenever there's a crisis, procurement has come into the highlight every time. Even now also, you go to any company, wherever you guys are working, procurement is in a much bigger highlight. Yes, I can understand around, like some functions are going away within the procurement domain, but some functions are becoming much more important, particularly strategic function. They're becoming more important. Their profiles are changing. I always, whenever I meet some people, I say, guys, how many people you have on the data analytics? Rare, zero, I would call many places. Now, today time has come, the procurement people need to have their own data analytics. It's not an IT function. You only get the data, clean it and find analytics, what I'm doing around. Where are my suppliers? Which supplier is troubling me? Which supplier is buying from where and this around? I think data analytics in terms of supply sources is very, very important. Data analytics in terms of their performance is very important. Now, you don't need an outsider person. You need within your family a procurement team to train some people around. So this is when Myung started on the subject around, I would say you need to reprofile your function also. So keep that in mind. Procurement is always, I would say, led the way, if I can talk of 2008. After that, it went into the hood. But now again in this crisis, everybody's talking of supply chain. starting from the Prime Minister to anyone talks around, that we want to be the global hub. So supply chain, which minister talked in the past around? Now you hear on a regular basis. So supply chain is very, very important. And I think we are the one who can lead it. And I think we are a very important part of the whole chain around. Well, friend, with this, let me start what I plan to do it. So what I keep around, we have 1 hour sessions, and then we'll have question answers. Whatever you have, you can do it, or you can do it through the chat part, or you can raise your hand, you can unmute yourself and straightway ask the question around later. So the key takeaway is what disruptions we have seen. I know equally you know very well, but if I'm missing out something, I'll be very happy to listen later from you. Understanding the new normal. I've given you a little flavor of the new normal, how the word came new normal in 2008. It was the first time the new normal came into the languages. Earlier it was only normal, but not new normal. Lessons learned. How do we ramp up to new normal now? Companies' productions are coming back to normal. Today's newspaper says around that the economy will be back to normal from the beginning of 2021. So now this new normal, which we're talking around, how do we do it? Now, behind all this thing, I think the issue is coming around digitalization, because one lesson we learned, the visibility of the whole chain was very poor. I've seen myself when I used to handle one big project of around $80 million was there when I was in the US. So we had a project in Iraq and the delivery was coming from X countries and very difficult because we don't have visibility more than the supplier. So the digitalization is one thing which is very important if you want to improve the visibility. Procurement 4.0, everybody talks about industry 4.0. So 4.0 is very, very critical now. So which talks of digitalizations. What organization need now and looking ahead. So in short, I would say we will go through the tools and the processes for future-proofing procurement and supply chain. So keep in mind, procurement also has a supply chain. Don't think procurement is a key component of supply chain. Procurement means there's a movement from supplier X to Y, Y to Z. So there is a movement around. So procurement and supply chain around. Guys, overview, let's talk about first 2020. We all have seen a disruptive year. And we have also come across the complex ecosystem of this one. Airport was closed, seaports were not working. So the whole ecosystem, which we never cared earlier in the past, we took it for granted. Everything is great. So we have learned something. The ecosystem is really complex. So now considering COVID-19, the risk associated with globalization. I come from that timing generation when we were all the time taught, I was in the US 80s, 90s. So we were all the time 1980s when I was doing my MBA in the US, they were telling globalization, globalization, globalization. Now we are seeing, guys, we all that was taught around globalization will give you wonderful price, lowest price, best technology, great. But now we have seen saving here and there is not sufficient alone. So globalizations has to be seen. We have already ignored many of the things around, but now we have learned the lesson that we have to change the modalities around. Combination of lean productions. Earlier we were looking at the bigger volumes around. Now demand is changing anytime. So we had to become lean production, global multi-stage around, wake up call for managers, I would call. And at the end of the day, I would say we have to improve our resilience to manage the future shocks. The way broadly, if I can sum this. What has COVID-19 taught us? So we have to come with the new ways of working. 87%, not all sectors were affected, let's be very honest. Some sector did very well during the COVID time in the last 6 months. Some those who are dealing with essential items. Everybody needs a food, everybody needs something. Some items did okay, but still 87% of the global businesses were negatively impacted by the disaster. The challenge was maintaining day-to-day operations. So when we are getting out of the lockdown, now people have a problem, particularly the small and medium companies. The funds are short around. So who is going to fund them? Is it the banks going to fund them or the big companies are going to fund them? If big companies think we don't have funds and we'll delay the payments part, from 1 month to 4 months, the poor guy will become more, it's much more on the risk part. Then disruption to the status quo. What we used to think in the last 10 years after 2008 recession, I would say this is the biggest recession I would, in that sense around. Disruption is the biggest one. We were all the time status quo guys. Everything is going smooth, no worry. But now I think it's one way it has given us it's become an opportunity also. Catalyst for change. Who would have thought of work from home 2 years back? No company would have allowed you. I know in the Americas we were doing around telecommuting, but here not much. But now people are accepting it. It's a part of the life. So catalyst for change and opportunity. It has given us opportunity, and those who will grab the opportunity, they will remain the leader. Those who will not grab the opportunity, they think, and this only grumble, then they will be left behind. So business as usual, no, I would call it out. So we has changed this. Look at this trend around what we have seen. The whole scenario, the whole spectrum of all the companies, starting from pharma, going up to apparel and aerospace, all the company on the other end, they were the highest impact. You and me were not buying dresses around because we are not traveling anywhere, sitting at home. Apparel industry was affected in a big way. I know some moved into making the mask and all this thing around. Aerospace, again, the travel was less. But furniture was affected. Petroleum products was affected. But those who were not affected is medical devices, pharmas, food, agriculture. Everybody needs a food to survive. So you can see the whole spectrum around. One is in the lower end, other one in the high end. So this, I think we're trying to settle down now. Look at this PMI. I think this gives you some idea around what the trend is happening. We all hear about how the GDP is coming, the GDP got shrunk. Now, if you look at the PMI index, it gives a very positive feedback. It is the one which was developed by ISM headquarters, USA, our headquarters in the USA. They developed in 1948. Now, PMIs are developed all over the world. India also, the reports are prepared. So and this is based on the feedback from CPOs of the big companies. And it has got many components. One is the more procurement. How much is the procurement volume? How much is the output part? How much is the employment part? All those parameters are combined together, then it is done. So here you look around PMI manufacturing in the month of April, we dipped down to 27. Anything less than 50 means there's a contraction. Anything more than 50 means we are okay, we're growing. But less than 50 means the number is 50, then less than 50. That's a ballpark you can talk around. We went to 27. May it was again very low, 31. June was very low. July was very low. August, it started pitching up to 52, 56, 58.9. Again, November, it has come to 56. But still it is more than 50. That means the companies are coming back to normal, I would call. So we are in the right, I would say, direction. Because procurement people are the right one, like at home. If you're spending more money, that means you are earning more. Similarly, when procurement people are spending more money in buying things, that means company is doing better. This depends on the spend, depends on employment. There are many parameters. And similarly, if you look at the services industry, my goodness, we went up to 5 in the month of April. March was 49. May was 15. So we were in a very bad shape. June. So you can say only in October we have picked up to 54. Otherwise, before October, it was a contraction. This gives a wonderful idea whether new jobs are coming up. So the new jobs are also coming up. Companies are coming back to normal. They're going to stand on their own feet. So it's a rosy picture the way I can see around. So I'm not saying that we have reached the pre-COVID time still, but from January 2021, the way we have heard today also from the finance minister, we expect to come back to the normal around. So that's a good news, I think, from that context around. Look at the lessons what we learned. It has revealed the fragility of the modern supply chain. We made a very complex modern supply chain. If you typically look the modern supply chain, if you guys are getting, your item might be coming from export, but the guy might be buying from Y, the Y might be buying from Z, the raw material might be coming from Zimbabwe, but going to some other countries. Then that guy might be processing and making cable, and then the cables are being coated by, you can say, plastic by someone else. It's a long supply chain. So that's the one. Diverse sourcing. I think this word is coming in now. If you would have asked me 1 year back, I would say put all your eggs into one basket, make a bigger volume, and volume leverage. Now people say volume leverage is only one time, but when the continuity is stopped, you suffer it. So now it's a diverse sourcing. You should have a backup. So the diverse part comes around. You need a diversity in supply sources. And you need a transparency also. And transparency cannot come without digitalization. If it is all fed into the papers only, then you have to only walk through the papers to find the transparency, which takes time. You want at the press of a button, you should see on your screen what is the status, why it is failing, why it is not reached. Then the next comes digitizing the buyer-supplier relationship. Today, buyer and supplier relationship is still only through emails. And that relation you want through the ecosystem through online. Today you have a beautiful ERP, I'm not questioning it, it's only for the enterprise. You're not going to allow the access to the supplier to your ERP. Then you have to move into e-procurement. So keep in mind, you have to move into the e-procurement. And the moment you move into the e-procurement, I can have buyer-supplier relationship. I can have connection. As we are sitting today now, we can chat around, we can unmute each one and talk to each one around. So we need that type of relationship. Opportunity to reset a system around. So the old system was not designed for agility. The old system of technology was not designed for resilience. So you have to start thinking about it. So because the business side, you have to think. IT cannot know the business side. You guys are the business expert. You have to say the processes. And then IT can codify it and program it. But the processes has to come from you people. Now, the digitization and the creation of specialized ecosystem. Technologies have come, artificial intelligence, IoT, supply chain. I'm not saying everything is relevant for each one. Each one is a different solution. Each one has, some have got a capital problem around, some have got training, staff is not trained to that extent. There are different scenarios. So each one has to start finding a solution. That's a way, in a different way. Don't try to copy the others and make a cut and paste solutions for that. This, I think we always do around. I think it's the right time for people who have not thought around so far. I think start questioning yourself, what next? Your job description straightway should change, I would say. Otherwise, you will have problems. Some people will have more workload, some are not having a workload. So I think you need to redo it around. New structures part has to be put around. From thinking about next normals, now you have to think of what to stop. I've got 50 people, let's say, in procurement function or my supply chain function. Then what activities I'm going to robotize, what activity I want to start, and what new I want to come up. The data analytics is, take it from me, is a must for every department now. Particularly for procurement is a must. So the data analytics mean collecting the data, analyzing the data from the procurement context, not from the IT context, from the procurement context. So you need to have those teams as well in your team. Then what to start, what to stop, what to start, what to accelerate. So those acceleration, if I can talk around, is at a strategic level, at a value addition level, not saving alone. So that means you have to think around what to stop, start, accelerate, bifurcate into 3 parts around. When you have the picture of the future of the work and supply chain concept, think of where I can have a control tower. Control tower concepts come from the aeroplane. Control towers can see every hundreds of planes are moving at any time. They know where is each one. Same way, you may have thousands of suppliers in the whole chain, but through control tower, you can connect each one and see, guys, where is the problem? The tier 1 may be giving you copper cable, but the guy is depending on someone else to provide plastic. The next one is depending on someone else. And the copper guy is depending on the mines in Zimbabwe or something. It's a long chain. You want to see the whole circle. It creates a level of uncertainty in the supply chain function. We don't have a crystal ball, but I think by now, see always the trends which we also prepare on a yearly basis. My headquarter also does it. The trends are based on your observations. We all are human beings. We see on a daily basis, oh, we are getting into this. We have a problem like this. We have a this one around. Now, solution also has to come accordingly. So this is how the new normal or the next normal we have to work on. Guys, now reshaping part, certainly I would say the whatever supply chain vulnerability, we have to remove it off. Impact of China's lockdown, you have seen the whole world was looking at low-cost countries. I was that time in US in those days and we were trying to outsource because America was very costly those days. The labor cost was very high. If we want to make a shirt in America, it would have cost us around $300 or $400. If same I can get in $30 from abroad, why should I do it there? So they were looking for low-cost countries. Low-cost country means India and China those days. And we were trying to get into India also and China also. India was much closer in a democratic system, but India was having that time socialist system. They never wanted any foreign companies to come here. We were throwing out IBMs, we were throwing out Coca-Colas. So I think manufacturing never came here. The manufacturing went to China. And you have seen in the last 30 years, they became the world factory. But now we have seen by putting dominance there, we have to see a different way around. One likely consequence is there now people are looking into diversify the supply chain and decentralization of manufacturing capacity. Earlier it was there, everything at one place. Now people are coming up, guys, let's have two places around. If one country have a problem, I've got a backup other warehouse. So that thinking is coming around. Transitions to new model of for supply chains will be again underpinned by rapid and wholesale digitization. Guys, the new normals, if I just put the last line, as I said to you in the very beginning, how COVID-19 disruption will redefine strategies. That's one line if I have to say around. What are your new strategies to succeed in COVID-19? If you're only supplying locally, are you supplying globally? Are you supplying to an MNC who's supplying globally? Your methodology has to be different. So keep in mind, what is your customer base? So that's the approach you have to come around. Now, in initial impact, which I can see what happened in the very beginning when the COVID-19 came, the biggest was sourcing and procurement. Companies were closing down. Work at home was there coming around. And people were not knowing how do we manage our team around. Staff was going on furloughs in procurement also because companies were not working. So staff was going in a furloughs, guys, okay. Some were said, okay, we'll pay you half the salary, no increment, nothing. This is what was going initial stage. Then came the contract. Deliveries are not coming. What do we do? Force majeure clause is there. And force majeure clause allows them to, guys, you can take a rest, don't worry. Now people have learned, guys, force majeure as alone, act of God, or which is beyond my control, cannot work. I have to redefine my contract now. So many companies have started redefining the force majeure now. Supplier shortages. Relationship became more important. You know, when we get a bad time in our own personal life, when we are doing very well, we don't care for friends and we don't care for anyone. But when the bad time comes, we look for friends, we look for relatives. Same way with supplier. When things were not coming and I have to deliver something, then my relationship becomes important. So that's the one, I think, initial thing, which I saw it personally while working with few companies. Relationship became important. And industries impact all industry, I would say, especially in healthcare, groceries were having a lot of problem. You are seeing the mask prices, you are seeing all those things around. So these are the initial impact. I'm not saying this is now, it has covered up a lot. But in the beginning, if you go 4 months back, we all have gone through this. So we came with the work from homes. We came for shifting the priorities around. If I got so many activities around, now I say, guys, we don't have funds. Many companies had the problem with the cash. The cash was king. They say, guy, okay, stop these activities around. This activity give me more business. Let me work on it. Think outside the box around. So that also became, till we are prospering, nobody cares. But when we get into trouble, we always look outside the box, because that way procurement has always led the way if I look at the history also. Guys, the top challenges for procurement. Very first is disruption, disruption, disruption. Disruption in terms of funding, disruption in terms of geopolitical uncertainty, disruption in terms of transparencies, cash flow problems, profit and loss. All, I think all the companies have gone through it. Big or small, everybody has gone through it. Shifting market dynamics. Relationships are changing. Those who are willing to serve you, now they find another good partner who's paying them more. So relationships are changing, and input costs were going up. Again, demand supply stories around changing ways of working also. Communication, digital communication. So we are doing digital communication not with the 3-dimensional, but 2-dimensional now. Or maybe only on the mobile, not even 2-dimensional. Shortages created by volatile demand. Demands were becoming volatile. Input costs were becoming volatile. So this is a challenge we have seen now. Now the question what we have to learn is, how do we ensure if this happens next time, are we ready for it? Are we shock proof or not? That's what we need to do. Setting up for success. As I said to you in the very beginning, we have to strengthen supply chain resilience. This will not come if you all guys are busy morning till evening in your routine job. Who's going to take care of resilience then? You need to make a team which reports to the boss on resilience. Because if you think everybody will take care of it, let me be honest, if I'm a procurement guy, morning till evening, I'm busy on delivering and ensuring delivery, I will never be able to look into resilience. Somebody else has to look at. So you need to build up those type of function in your organization. So this is again, I'm saying, and for the procurement people, please come with new functions around. Data part, resilience part, continuity part, all those things around. Changing the value pool. So which are the one value pool that are relevant to you? Value pool could be the price saving is one part of it. Delivery is another part of it. Lead time is another one of it. Quality is another one around. So you have to see in my value pool, 8 or 10 lines, which is more important to you to survive or to make profit. Innovation could be another one around. Some companies say, I don't care paying more money, but innovation is more important to me. So value pool you need to define in all of you. I don't know, I can bet on it. I mean, if you guys have, some companies have done, but still many have not come up with a value pool. What are your value pool in each company around? So far, procurement was only treated with price reduction, nothing else. Or cost avoidance, cost saving. That value pool is not good enough. You have to add more bigger this. So please define in your guidelines the value pool part. Accelerate adoption of digital and analytics. So this is the new scenarios, again, you have to do it. Spend analytics, something which is close to my heart because as you know, I built it UNSPSC in 86, 88, and that is used by SAP, Oracle, everybody does it. And I've done on the same basis for the government of India also, coding system, taxonomy for procurement. So this is a very, very important. If your structure is not correct, you'll get a wrong spend. So data garbage in, garbage out will be there. So spend analytics has to be improved around. That gives you insights. Like at home, if my salary goes down, I know where I have to cut my cost. So analytics of spend is very important around. Transform to future-ready operating systems. That's what we need. So whenever we are thinking of a transformation, keep in mind procurement people are, they lead the way, but they have to work in a collaboration. All the stakeholders, they should have the leadership quality to manage and learn with other people also. You alone cannot change, let me tell you frankly, otherwise people will resist you. So you guys have to learn how to manage your internal and external stakeholders. So your skill, the soft skill has to come up, how to manage people. So that's the way. Supplier collaboration index. Since I'm talking of collaboration with supplier, I would say in the past, we've never cared for it. Now you should do a proper index of your company. Where is my collaboration index? In terms of an alignment, in terms of my communication, in terms of my trust and cross-functional engagements. Value creation, I think we can give a scoring on this. It's a recent new idea which has come up around. Few companies have started around, guys. Are we liked by our suppliers? So it's a both ways traffic around. Suppliers are becoming very important to you. So you may like to do it, not for all suppliers. Some suppliers which are very critical. How do we think of index of collaborations around? The next thing comes is going forward. You need to have a command centers. You need to have a control tower philosophies. Control tower means you need a technology for that. Analytics backbones, automations part, some activities certainly need automation. As I was telling you around, so when we talk to the social distance in the warehouses, they cannot allow everybody with a forklift and this a guy, let it be automated one. And they're available vehicles. They can move from one to another. They can load from one to another. Because my warehouse is fixed size. Earlier was having 100 people. I can't afford 100 people now with social distance. But productivity is going up. So people are thinking of a new models around. So new jobs, new profiles have to be created around. Keep that in mind. So this is the way control towers. Everybody is connected through the control towers, all informations. Stop seeing return as a destination. Some of us think, oh, now vaccine has come and now we are back to normal. I will say we are still in the recovery zone. Let's be very clear. We are not reached in acceleration growth. Even if the economy has come back to the normal, we are still recovering revenue. Companies are having problem with the cash and money also. So we have to rebuild the operations around. We have to rethink the organization structures and accelerate the adoption of digital solutions. That's the way, and that is what Industry 4.0 wants it, digital solutions around. So the stress test we have to do around sometime, wherever you feel there are critical areas around, you should do the stress test also around. So this becomes a new job for you people around, some of the people. Naturally, these are high paying jobs, but people can be trained and build on it. How to test my supply chain capability? If I'm in charge of a resilience, all critical suppliers, I like to put them into the stress test. Can I survive on this? If this supplier does not give me for 3 months, what can I do? Will my production come to a standstill? So that stress test requires visibility, requires dependency, requires supply chain depth, and require interconnectivities around. So those factors certainly are. The managing reception, I mean, if we talk of disruption, certainly first thing is readjustment. Many companies have already done readjustment. Recovery is many of you are doing already, but reboot to go up. Just doing recovery alone is not going to survive you long. Now we have to think of a rebooting yourself. So that's the way I would call it out. So this one, I think I can skip it, but one thing which I know many people were having problem with the indirect procurement. They always thought indirect procurement is, particularly for the services industries, they think it's a non-core function. Let's outsource it. So maybe I think I'll come on this separate webinar. Indirect procurement outsourcing is not a good idea. Some people were thinking of it 2 years back. I mean, I remember many come, oh, why should I have 30 people in my office? I can outsource to someone. So I think this is also a very tricky word, and I'll come back on this in a separate webinar on it. Addressing the agility part. Agility means your continuity is there. Cost management. So continuity is also good, but the cost part is also important. And cost management you can only do once you have spent visibility is there around. The processing cost of invoicing. It's a long process. I've seen through it myself when we used to have 200 country offices. I'm talking of in the years of 2005, 2006. It used to be a nuisance to pay to the supplier. Long process all the time. And now Government of India has come up with a new guideline, you know it, from 1st October. Any company with more than 100 crore turnover will have to go through e-invoicing. Earlier they used to say, send me invoice. I have not received the invoice. Give me the hard copies. And you have to send through the couriers around. So all big companies are now moving into electronic invoice. And payments can be done by matching online and payment through that. Cost management. So the process cost has gone down. But somebody may take it as a negative way, guys. Oh, now we have processes become automated. This guy become extra. But then that guy can be trained for something else. but not to create a bottleneck for the supplier. So this is where the whole methodology has to change. One of my guys or friend is already working for one big company, and I'm meeting him tomorrow. He's doing all this, restructuring the whole functions, managing working capital. Certainly cash is important. Funds are very short. So you have to think of working capital, mean inventory, which inventory I should keep, which one I'm not saying GIT per se, but you have to think around how can I cut down my inventories around. My working capital is stuck there. So that's what we need to do. That's what agility can come through. Business continuity can come through the cost management and working capital. That's what you need to focus on. So this one I can skip it, keeping in mind other issues. Challenges brought by the COVID-19. The biggest challenge I said to you is the supply chain disrupted. Because my supply chain was only linked up to tier 1 supplier. I never cared from tier 1 is buying from tier 2, tier 2 is buying from tier 3. If tier 3 is not giving to tier 2, what can tier 1 do? So your supply chain is disrupted. So that means you have to start thinking in a longer way. And I can give you, short of time, but again, I've done myself this one. We used to depend on one supplier, and the supplier was not able to answer correctly because they were depending on someone. Shutdown of manufacturing, when it happens, liquidity of the cash and drop in sales. So that's what I can say on this. Key challenges, 65 procurement professionals have no visibility beyond tier 1. Risk management is often overlooked. I think if you ask yourself, how many of you talk about the risk management? You always think when it happens, we'll see to it. If it happens, we'll see to it. That is not going to happen, work in the future around. Spend management, inaccurate data, compliance to contract. That's the issue. Automation is a way to overcoming. To a lot extent, automation can help you a lot. So here again, adjusting part, recovering part, rebooting part. Many companies have already adjusted in the last 3 months. That's why the production figure was coming okay. Some are recovering, but rebooting has important. You cannot ignore rebooting. You can't say, no, I'm recovered back to COVID-19, pre-COVID-19. I'm okay. No. So don't miss this opportunity. If you want to be part of the global supply chain hub, you have to reboot it. You have to move into the growth model, not with the old model. So the model approach has to change. So this is how it shows the firefighting. I know in the beginning was all firefighting. Some companies have reached to opportunities in this, but ultimately we have to build resilience part. So this is the chain wide. This is what differentiates the risk and resilience part. Risk is what is known to you, quantifiable. If any one of you has gone through this program on risk, we say, okay, what is the probability of this risk? What is the impact of this risk? Resilience is unknown. Who thought about this COVID-19? Uncharacterized, low probability events around. So resilience is that, which is hidden. It's not the tip of the iceberg, it is a hidden one. So you need to work on that part around. So you need much smarter people to manage it. So guys, now coming back to the theme of risk mitigation, I can skip this one a little bit. So it talks of same issues, but in a different graphical way. I think resiliency you can see around customer goes to tier 1 supplier, which could be the retailer. Tier 2 could be the distributor. Then upstream suppliers, you can see around a small change at the customer level gets magnified. You know all the bullwhip effect. Those who have gone through the supply chain training can see this is how it happens. It gets multiplied in a big way. Why digital now? So if you look at the whole story around on supply chain visibility, taking care of demand variation, it leads us to become digital. Now, digital means, again, when we talk of digital, it has got two different meanings around. So some people call converting the analog into digital. I remember one country office, I went around, the guy was sitting in front of the machine, scanning each page by page. I said, what are you doing around? He said, we are trying to digitize our finance department. That means first you collect all the hard copies. Then each copy you start scanning it, convert the analog into digital. Now, if in today's world, I mean, you all are guys are young people, converting into that is a waste of time. Why not we do digitally from the basic core of it? Let the paper go as electronically, like POs are going nowadays with digital signature. So why can't invoice go like that? So this is where I felt that this change is required. So one has to, that means you need in each department, the guys whose job should be to look at the processes. Is the processes in line with the latest things? Does the process are waste of time? If there's a waste of time, duplication of efforts, think of cutting down. I know sometimes we become complacent. Oh, things are going, why to worry? Somebody's job will be affected, I know, but then we have to restructure the job. I'm not saying we should lose the job, we should restructure the job. So think of efficiencies. Think of strengthening the category management philosophy around. Still, I would say in India, 60 to 70%, even 70%, I can say, most of us are still working on a tactical procurement. We are not moved into the category management. Category is still far up. We are not moved into the strategic sourcing. The category management goes one step further than that. I know category management used more in the retail business, but now it is coming into procurement also. So category management means you are like a mini CEO. If I'm head of a category, I'm a mini CEO of that category. I take care of demand planning. I take care of procurement. I take care of my dealing with my customer also. So you have to think of category management as an important thing around. The digital tools around implementing all the risk assessment part very often. Now this part, I would say in far and long, I would say missing in many of the companies around. It might be going at a finance level, but not in the procurement level around. So I think we need to build this risk assessment as well. So the new normals, globalization move from offshoring to nearshoring, technology adoptions, consumer behaviors, you have seen all of us. We use a lot of social medias, contactless, the guy will come and deliver at your place. Think of the new generation which is coming up, who are Generation Z, who will be joining the job maybe in 1 or 2 years' time. Now, this generation who is going through it, they are becoming very digital by nature. So I think our processes has to become that way. This is what, if I had to summarize those, shift towards localization. Digital gets real push. Cash is the king. So think of saving. Move towards variable cost models, sensing the control towers, supply chain resilience, and building agility. I would say, please keep this as a key thing. Whenever you can think of what activities you can build it up in a post-COVID-19 era, I think this is going to be our savior. So the digitization journey, obviously Industry 4.0 is there around. So Industry 4.0 talks about procurement 4.0. So that means it has to match around. So when we talk of digitalization, digitization is from analog to digital. Digitalization by process, it is digitalized. Transformation means my connecting departments are also digitalized. So totally transformation is required now. So this is where I would love each one of you to see, please. In 1970s and 80s, even I would say MRPs were there. Many of you know about material requirement planning, MRP 1, MRP 2. Great. Those who are still following these procurement based on MRP, I would say they are procurement 1.0. Then the next come ERP, which take up the big momentum from 80s and 90s and 2000. ERP means you are still procurement 2.0. So e-procurement is the next step of ERP. So those who have got ERFX, e-contract management, e-supplier relationship management, all electronic managements around, they are the one in procurement 3.0. I'm sure based on this, you can see yourself. Are you in procurement 3.0? Are you in procurement 2.0? And the next one comes procurement 4.0. So 4.0 is only comes up once you have implemented e-procurement. I cannot bring digital tools without having the data part. I cannot think of a big data without having e-procurement. So keep in mind, e-procurement is procurement 3.0 and procurement 4.0 is all about digital. So that's where to look around. I think from here you can see around where you fall. Each one of you can see, guys, I don't have e-procurement. That means I'm still procurement 2.0. You're not digital. You're only having an enterprise system, that's all. So keep in mind, this is a wonderful give you spectrum of where you are, at what level of procurement you are. So digital era is there. If you want to stand apart from your competitors, I think this is very important. So this gives you some of the technology which are required. I would still say the key things are clouds. I know some companies are very worried about their data being hacked around. It's natural. Then the cloud is the one which allows you to supplier to get connected with you through e-procurement. Big data, data analytics. So everybody should make a beginning with first with big data and data analytics. And then the next one is autonomous vehicles. I know in the warehousing, those people who are managing, procurement people are managing inventory levels around. And now the issue which is coming in these technologies also, more I become digital, there's the chances of hacking also. So that means the best solution which is coming up now is the blockchain. The blockchain is the one which is much, in all these systems are centralized systems. And any centralized system, anybody can hack it. While in the decentralized system, nobody can do anything. So blockchain is a decentralized system. That's what is picking up in a big way. So this is where come the matrix of change around for procurement. If you look back, your performance matrix were based on the bottom one. If I look at this pyramid, if I'm working in a department around, my focus was how much spend I do around, how much negotiation savings I have brought around, how much competitions I have created around, how much rationalization I have done around. So that means my focus was only on the bottom level. But now people are saying, guys, okay, saving is one thing. Are you avoiding some cost around by standardizing the specs around? The next level comes the risk part. And above all is the one, as a procurement person, are you helping? Bottom line, you're helping, but are you helping the top line also? If yes, your matrix will be there. So keep in mind, your performance matrix has to fall in line with this, please. If your performance matrix at the end of the year, when you're given the increments of promotion, only at the bottom line, then procurement will remain a bottom line. If procurement has to become at the top level as the C function, you have to move up in terms of matrix. So keep this factor also in mind. You're thinking on the hierarchy. We might be bringing technology, we might be bringing this, but your parameters also have to change. Your matrix have to change. What organization needs? This is where I said in the very beginning, many of the people are driven still by pyramid. If I've got 50 people working from home, how can I work like this? I'm then dealing with thousands of suppliers around. You need a peer-to-peer network. This pyramid, the old pyramid systems are not good for anything, honestly. You can do virtual meeting, you can do anything around, but you cannot, if you want to get the ideas around, you want this organization to survive, you have to think of a structure like new one. Peer-to-peer connections. Another thing which is coming from the digital is your source to contract should be predictive. You should know what is going to come, what demand is going to come, source to contract. Now people are saying after the e-invoicing, can't we have source to pay end to end? So my source to pay, I should be able to manage it. P2P, I know people are saying, guys, it's the same mundane job, same routine things. If I make the catalogs for this, I fix the long-term agreement prices for this, then my P2P could also be automated through robotic process automation. Supplier risk management could also become proactive. Today we don't have, as I know SRM has got two meanings, risk management and supplier. So risk management and supplier relationship management. So risk management is the one which is missing. So we could have a proactive time. And the proactive means should straight come on your computer screen, guys, you are failing here. This needs to be handled properly. So SRM has to become proactive, S2C has to become predictive, and that has to become automated. Landscape is certainly changing in a big way, I would call around today's and tomorrow's. Today we are working on manual data gatherings. We've got spreadsheet after spreadsheet. I've gone through myself in 86, 87. We used to have a spreadsheet, and I was very happy when, honestly, if I tell you, 86, 87, when I used to collect the data from 200 country offices, I said, great, it's a wonderful tool. Today, no. You want real-time connection. Manual collaborations is today's, but tomorrow you want digital collaboration. So today we are not sitting face to face, but certainly digitally we are trying to collaborate and trying to listen to you. Automatic simulation. So keep in mind, this is what is happening around. Meeting the new normal checklist, I would say, please, if you want to see whether we are doing okay or not, this checklist you should have, each one of you. How resilient are our suppliers and their sub-suppliers? Are our suppliers innovating to meet the demand? Is our supply chain running an antiquated platform? How transparent is our supply chain ecosystem? Do we have the crisis mitigation plan or not? So this is where I would say, please, this is a very basic one. You can build on it and make your own checklist for all your suppliers before you shortlist them around. Final thoughts, stop assuming the old ways will come back. If you think we'll go back to the old ways, no. As it is, I think we are countries thinking of getting as a global hub for supply chain. We have to become competitive to survive. So the old ways are not going to come back. Remote working is all about, it's not, when you think remote working means give a laptop to everybody. What does that mean? Nothing. I still feel many companies have not come up with the remote working, the guidelines for it. Remote working means just give a laptop to them. When we work in an office, we talk to each other, we understand the body language, how to talk to each one, what to convey. Here we are becoming only communication tool by giving a laptop to them. I think we need to do something more than that to get the output better. Accelerate the best practices around. Collaboration part, flexibility part, inclusion part, accountability part, these need to be improved when you're working from remote. Stop relying on traditional structure. Again, I'm putting it up. Organization structures, traditional gone. Accelerate the transitions to agility. Start redesigning the supply chain to optimize resilience and speed. Resilience is important, but the speed is also important. If I take 1 month to give an answer, guys, my speed is not there. I should have a turnaround 24 hours or maybe 1 hour, depends on case to case. Accelerate next shoring. Switch to contactless operations and accelerate the transition of digitization and automation. So this is where I think your focus which has to come around is recovering the revenues. You guys all have to worry around that part at the end of the day. Rebuilding operations, rethinking the organizations, accelerating the adoption of digital solutions. I know it may cost, but there are some solutions available nowadays, much economical, and that's the way to go on. Last but not the least, the mantra will again remains, I know COVID-19 has disrupted you. You also have to disrupt yourself now. You cannot stay in a complacent stage. If you don't disrupt yourself, somebody will come and disrupt you. So please rethink of your functions, rethink of your job descriptions, rethink of approaches around, reinvent your ways, and reposition yourself. The old positions will not going to remain. So you have to think of, guys, what new thing I can do to become relevant for the organization. So this is where I think you guys have to work on. With this, again, I want to thank you all for the patient hearing and wish you all the best.